It's coffee time! Oh yes, quite yes. Delicious, oh yes. I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening to me. But, not on the subject of coffee, but instead on the subject of tea, I finally bought a teapot and I'm very excited. I've never owned a teapot. I've only ever owned like tea kettles to heat up the water in and then use tea bags or a mesh strainer of some sort for loose leaf tea. But I've also never been with somebody who also loves to drink a lot of tea. So it's been interesting realizing just how wasteful we are with our tea bags. And I finally was like, why don't we have a teapot? And Sam was like, I don't know. We should have a teapot because we drink a lot of tea. And I was like, yeah, we are rapidly running out of tea bags like all the time. So I finally bought a teapot and I'm really excited. I remember there was one time when I went to Goodwill. Goodwill is a thrift store, at least in America. I don't know if it's a thrift store anywhere else, which is why I'm explaining. But there was a teapot that was so cute that I found at Goodwill and I almost bought it. This was like years ago. This was when I was in college. I almost bought it and then I was like, what am I ever gonna use this for? I'm never gonna make enough tea that I need a teapot. And now I'm like, oh man, I wish I owned that teapot from like 7 years ago. That teapot was super dope. This was a super dope teapot, man. I streamed Dragon Age for 6 hours today. 6.5 hours, actually. Although the very first hour was entirely me trying to get the game to work, which was so infuriating because, of course, at the end of it all, it turned out it was a very easy fix. Just infuriating. So Gmart spent, I don't even know how long, trying to explain to me how to set up OBS, because the issue was I would open the game, and if I had XSplit open, the game would like freak out. So it would look fine on XSplit, but for me it would either force quit or it would be like a white screen, and it was super strange. And so everybody was like, oh, just use OBS. But I had never used OBS before. I had it installed, I've just never used it. It's been there as like a backup, like for this sort of a situation. So Gmart hopped onto a Skype call with me, explained to me everything that I needed to know about how to set up OBS, and then JP messaged me and was like, hey, I had this problem. All you have to do is right-click on the game in Origin and then say that you don't want Origin in-game. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, that's all you gotta do. And it totally worked. And I was like, oh my gosh, Gmart, I feel so bad. I'm so sorry that you spent so much time explaining OBS to me. JP, thank you so much for explaining to me how to get it to work. Because like, even though we got it to work in OBS, I still didn't understand how to use it at all. So when JP was like, no, I have a fix that'll work with XSplit, I was like, okay, then I'm gonna try it. Because I still don't understand how to use OBS. They'll just be like, burp. And then things might blow up, who even knows? So, it was nice getting it to work for XSplit. That was very exciting for me. And yeah, I played that for, well, since it took an hour to set up, played that game for 5.5 hours straight. That was awesome. Felt really fulfilling, felt really good about it. I think the reason that I love the way that that game is set up, because it's like all the things that I loved about Skyrim without the things that I hated about Skyrim. So the thing that I hated about Skyrim and pretty much every other open world game is that I can't, there are no barriers, right? There's nothing there that's helping my brain be like, all right, what's everything that I need to do, you know? And so when I'm playing a game like Skyrim, I don't feel like I have a direction. I don't feel like there's anything that's explaining to me where to go or what to do. There's nothing motivating me really, aside from just every now and then the game being like, hey, you should maybe do the main story quest. You know? So, what I love about Dragon Age, I'm singing its praises right now. I was gonna say I'm tooting its praises, and then I was like, those are two different things. Tooting its horn and singing its praises. It's two different, completely different phrases. So, yeah, tooting its praises right now. But since the game is formatted as being big zones, it's so much nicer because I don't feel like, I feel like I'm progressing at something, right? If I'm in an area, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try to get as much done as I can in this area, which is mostly what we did today. And I love that feeling because not only is it not only is it making you feel like productive in terms of the story, because the more stuff you do, the more powerful the Inquisition gets, the more help that you have, you know, you have that sort of supportive feeling. And then you also have this kind of barrier mentally that's telling you like, okay, if I look at the map, I know that I've been to almost everywhere in this zone. So that's exciting, you know? Or like, okay, I know that there are 4 of this thing in this zone, so let me go find all 4 of them. You know, even though in all of the other zones there are more of them, it doesn't matter, because in this zone, in this compact area, I know exactly what all I need to do. And that is such a nice feeling for me, because I hated that about Skyrim. I hated that, like, no matter what I did, I was like, it's too big. It's too big. I don't know what I'm doing. It's too big. It's all too big. So it's been nice. I really love that game. I really love that game. And now I'm playing Hand of Fate, which is a game that Jesse suggested. I'm finally playing it. That is also a super cool game. So like, Jesse kind of pitched it as a card game, but it's like not really. It's almost like a super epic version of Munchkin to me. So like, the concept of it, right, is that you are facing up against this guy. Oh gosh, I don't even know how to explain it. You're at a table with a guy who has like magical cards. And the cards, as they're laid out, are like a journey. So like, it might be like, here's the card that you start on, and then there are cards, almost like a board where you roll dice. There are cards that like lead you along your journey, and once you get to the final card, then you can move on to the next zone. And you have to defeat a certain number of like boss characters in order to finally face him personally. So he like has cards that conjure monsters, he has cards that conjure weapons and armor for you, cards that symbolize different areas, and it is a card game, but like in terms of how you play it, the cards are a framework, right? So it's kind of interesting. It's fun. I really like the dude's voice, the dude that you're playing against. He's kind of an endearing guy for some reason. And I think it's random every time. I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, I really like it. I'm really digging it. So, I'm 2 bosses in. 2 out of 12. I'm 2 bosses in. So, but it's been fun. And you play with a controller, which is kind of bizarre to me. But I didn't realize at first that there were going to be sections where suddenly you're like in an action-adventure game and you're running around like killing skeletons and stuff like that. Like, that's what the battles are. The battles kind of like suck you into this zone, and then it's like, alright, defeat the skeletons, and you're like, oh, thank God your cards conjured this weird sword for me. Cool, sick, you know? So that's kind of how the game works, but it's fun. It's a fun game. I feel like I've had a bigger surplus of really fun games lately than I've had recently, other than you know, my anime BS games, which I love. I love them so much. I just love them so much. I did all the dishes. I've done all the laundry. I changed our sheets. I feel like I've done my duties for today. I've done my duties. So I'm going to continue to play Hand of Fate until I go to bed. Sam is at a Smash Brothers event right now, because Smash Brothers for Wii comes out tomorrow technically, but people are downloading it right now. So yeah, he's at a thing for that. I'm sure he's having fun. He texted me a bunch of X's, which, you know, in XOXOXO terms, it's just a bunch of kisses, so it was very sweet. I was like, I hope you're having fun, like a mom. Don't do drugs, I love you. But I'm sure he's having a good time. He's like, he used to play Smash competitively. I think I've told you guys that before. Sam used to play Smash competitively. He was like a pro King DDD player. So, he's like really into Smash Brothers, and specifically Project M he's been like so into recently. So yeah, so I hope that, I would love for him to get back into that community and like meet people there because he loves that game so much, you know? And he knows so much about it. He's so knowledgeable about it. He'll tell me things and I'm like, I don't understand what you're talking about, but sure. So, yeah. I'm sure he's having a great time. I'm just gonna hang out with my cats and play Hand of Fate. But I hope you guys had an amazing day, and I will talk to you again tomorrow. Okay? 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 Okay. Bye-bye.